I knew this article was gonna be fucking good. I knew this article was gonna be good, dude. Whoever this person is, I believe her name is Cecilia. Cecilia, you are on top of it. I swear to God, you are on top of it. So yeah, this article was titled Video games already do what the metaverse just promises. Virtual handouts, digital currency, weddings? Online games have been making space for these things for decades. And if we're being honest, dude, yeah. Which is the weird thing that I always thought about the metaverse. The metaverse thing to me just looks like PlayStation VR or, like VR chat or something like that. Or if we're being real, like Fantasy Star Online, Final Fantasy 16 online, especially with Endwalker coming out right now. Like, there's just something about the metaverse where I feel like it's kind of already a thing that's being done, but the metaverse is trying to promise it to be that you can actually work and live your life in these type of things. But video games are already kind of doing that currently. Like, if you know the history about the number of meetups that happen in video games and like weddings and funerals that happen in like World of Warcraft and stuff like that, you would know that this isn't really like a big piece of information, to be honest. All right. Anyway, it continues to read. Last month, the New York Times wrote about something that was hardly new or newsworthy: a wedding inside the metaverse. The bride wore a flower crown with a gray button skirt fit for a midtown office. The groom resembled Jeff Bezos at the reception. There were guests and a stage and a photo slideshow. Everything was familiar except the venue. Where were they exactly? Turns out the bride's corporate attire wasn't too out of place. Instead of a church hall, their wedding took place in the metaverse, specifically an unknown lo-fi virtual world called Virbela, an outgrowth of realty company EXP World Holdings, which employs both halves the couple. Sorry, I'm reading this and sometimes words just don't make sense to me. Let's be clear about one thing though. There is no metaverse. Well, at least not yet, right? No one really agrees on what a metaverse is, but averaging together, the more crudable definition yields as a persistent social cyberspace that interconnects with the IRL economy and integrates with other online platforms. But right now, nothing is doing this as a notable scale. Instead, we just have a couple of well-attended virtual worlds like Second Life, a handful of popular massively MMOs, and role-playing games like World of Warcraft, and a lot of tech companies salivating over a way to brand their sprawl of digital products and services. And of course, there's also Virbela and its skin of strange underpopulated thingies snatched right out of a 2005 iteration of Internet Explorer. There is a definition of grizzle, and I'm not gonna lie, what was that IMVU chat back then in like the early 90s and stuff? I mean, not the 90s, early 2000s and stuff like that, you know? There is a definition bristle, of course. Tech companies have discovered the benefits of characterizing a metaverse as a continuation of their own products or services. For example, Meta has decided that virtual reality integration is important to a metaverse, and conveniently, its Horizon Worlds runs on the company's Oculus Quest handset. Oh, sorry, that's Meta, the Facebook company. Sorry. Then there are blockchain companies preaching the essentiality of their own coins to their own cyberspaces, and now after almost a year of hype, it's become marginally easier to separate meat from metaverse fat. What we're dealing with here is this cyberspace: connected, incarcerated, economized. There's still just one problem though, however. Everything actually desirable about this metaverse resembles a pared down version of online games millions have been playing for decades. It's been 20 years since wedding bells first rang in Second Life, and game developer Square Enix included mechanics for sending out invitations, composing vows, and exchanging rings in 2002's Final Fantasy. Outside of Newtales, I don't know what that word is. Outside of Newtales, online games already provide the most compelling functions associated with the metaverse often. With greater graphic fidelity, more complex social systems, and a significantly larger scale, as professional cyberspace architects and governors, it is game developers who have iterated on and mastered the 2 to 3 actually promising attributes of the metaverse, mostly revolving around socializing in virtual worlds. Since 1996, players' furry avatars have stood around cybering in MMORPGs for Cadia's 32-bit meadows. Yet here we are, more than 2 decades later, hearing tech executives preach about things digital cat girls were doing back then. It would be cute if it weren't so unsettling to see those executives doing it with the same bravado. Mark Zuckerberg delivers delirious Mark Zuckerberg's delirious pitch to build the future of work in the metaverse evokes early tech journalists' breathless forecasting about how, in some brave new world to come, corporate culture would migrate into Second Life. There would be, they promise, floating our winged Sonic the Hedgehog avatars to each other's cubicles to talk about the Dow Jones. School 2 would be in uploaded technologies believed. All right. Gonna skip some, gonna skip some, gonna skip some, gonna skip some, gonna skip some. I don't feel like all this necessary data is needed. What are Decentraland or Horizon Worlds giving us that Second Life did not? More barriers to entry, it seems. To access Horizon Worlds, users must purchase a $300 Oculus headset from Meta. In Decentraland, users need to get crypto wallets for the game's priority ERC20 token. And in its most popular experience, avatars mill about in a low poly field next to a coin cart selling the priority cryptocurrency. Even with virtual currencies and a digital asset ownership, video games got there first. Games have been sophisticated virtual economies that meaningfully intersect with IRL ones for decades. The in-game intrigue of EVE Online, released in 2003, once prompted a user to spend the equivalent of $30,000. And if you know what EVE Online is, you know that this guy's not lying. The equivalent of $30,000 on a virtual spaceship. That amount may sound dinky compared to today's NFT prices, but bear in mind that EVE Online's economy is also intricate, so involved that it employed its own economics to oversee the market as far back as 2010. Entropia Universe's users were collectively investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in virtual real estate in the form of space docks for ships and biodomes. It continues on to read, remember this then, when some section of Metaverse preachers says notions of ownership are lacking in games. A Metaverse, they might argue, would be more real because business conducted in it would translate elsewhere. It could be very cool to really own in-game outfits and items through NFTs, they suggest. Bring my Keanu Reeves Fortnite skin over to the World of Warcraft, for example, or use my favorite Valorant gun in Counter-Strike Global Offensive. That's too complicated, though. To be able to bring something from one NFT game into a whole nother NFT game, they would have to be on the same block. They would have to be on the same chain in order to do that, right? Or am I wrong? Like, you wouldn't be able to take something from Fortnite and bring it into World of Warcraft. Granted, unless you are a video game designer, but in terms of like NFTs, you couldn't be able to do that unless I don't know. Anyway, it continues to read, it's a pretty picture, and even pushing aside copyright hurdles or logistics surrounding competing game companies dismantling years worth of code to integrate brand-friendly cosmetics, there is one glaring issue. The target audience doesn't seem to be into it. Ubisoft's December decision to integrate NFTs into Ghost Recon Breakpoint and other games in the form of artificially scarce in-game items was met with mass skepticism, even derision. On top of the environmental impact of NFTs, many players said it seemed like a shameless money grab, and it honestly is in some cases. In most cases, it honestly is. A month later, the president of Square Enix, Yosuke Matsuda, announced the company's interest in NFTs, acknowledging potential backlash up front. I realize that some people who play to have fun and who currently form the majority of the players have voiced their reservations toward these new trends. Understandably so, he wrote. However, I believe that there will be a certain number of people whose motivation is play to contribute. I honestly can't believe that that guy said that. That's one of the scariest shits that I've ever heard. Even if Masuda is right and video games do start looking more like metaverses and vice versa, it would still be a long time before even the most advanced virtual worlds reach any kind of snow crashing level of functionality or usefulness. For Metaverse to be truly interoperable, change-leading companies like Meta will have to work with other technology companies like Epic Games and Square Enix to stitch together their platforms and services. That's absolutely true. I agree with that. This seems unlikely, considering the past decades have shown tech companies are more inclined to consolidate than cooperate. This man is talking facts. It worked when big fish like Meta than Facebook were buying smaller ones like Oculus, but getting all the big fish into one happy pond seems doubtful and would produce a whole new set of problems. It's also challenging to imagine a metaverse that can scale to accommodate anywhere near as many digital bodies as there are physical ones browsing the internet today. And part of why it's unfathomable is because the games industry has already proven that server space is a limiting factor. Amazon, which owns Amazon Web Services, a backbone of the internet, also runs the MMORPG New World, which at launch quite literally could not accommodate the number of players attempting to log in. And yep, the same thing with Final Fantasy 16. Welcomed 94,540 concurrent players just over Steam in one day in early December, all sharing the same space, dancing, singing, playing music, buying dresses, and of course fighting dragons. But to enter many of the game's servers, there was a 5,000 person wait. And I actually have a friend that actually got into it, and he was waiting between like 3,000 to 4,000 people. The things that make the promise of the metaverse intriguing for the most part already exist in online games, and much of what remains of that promise is unappealing, impossible, or just greedy. That's why over the last year plus of lockdown, not one existing virtual world has been in position to capture corporate meetings and e-commerce. Online games, in the meantime, bloated to accommodate a baser and more prevalent desire to be together and related as people, not as workers or consumers. Maybe it was the wrong time, just like the Second Life was wrong for corporations in 2004. Maybe all we need are $300 Oculus Quest 2 headsets to feel like we're all really there. Or perhaps fun and games were the best uses for cyberspace after all. I knew this article was gonna be fucking good. I knew this article was gonna be good, dude. Whoever this person is, I believe her name is Cecilia. Cecilia, you are on top of it. I swear to God, you are on top of it. If Cecilia isn't a gamer, I'd be surprised, because if she's not a gamer, she must be in the know to understand what's going on with gaming. Like, Cecilia is on it, dude. Like, it's just fact. Like, everything that's been going on today with the whole metaverse thing, it's like, okay, you're trying to do what's been going on for the past 10 to 20 years, but you're trying to just make it a corporate thing where we can buy things and be a consumer and just try to live life with my Oculus headset on, which, to be honest, isn't really a good thing to do, because one, those Oculus headsets are heavy as fuck. I've tried one on my head and that shit is like, I think it weighs like a pound or something. Like, those things are fucking heavy. Two, correct me if I'm wrong, but my parents, when I was young, was telling me that I should be staying at least a good arm's length from the screen, and actually should be right now. I should be a good arm's length away from my screen right now, right? And for me to have a fat Oculus headset in my face, dude, there's gonna have to be a lot of implementation. And again, with the follow-up on, if Facebook's Meta thing is gonna do this, it would have to be inside the ecosystem of Epic Games as well as anyone else who's trying to do this type of thing as well. But corporations do not like to work together, dude. Like, if you know anything about Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo, they do not like to work together for any reason at all. Just to get crossplay in a game is already a hard discussion. Like, but yeah. Hey, honestly, if you watch this entire video and you actually watch me trying to read this and fumble over my words thousands of times, I thank you. I really do, because stuff like this, I feel like articles are actually pretty good, but because it's a different medium than a YouTube video, you don't really get the full effect of it, you know? Like, I don't know how many people will read this article, but like, I feel like it'll do a lot better service if there's a little bit more of a, you know, like a physical news reporting of the topic itself. But you know me, that's just me. I just like to talk about certain things that I feel like are really important in the gaming ecosystem that really need to be talked about. No, I don't want to do that. Regardless of which, yeah, If you don't know who I am, it's cool, it's cool, it's cool, it's cool, because my name is Chaos the Gamer, and now that you know, you can use whatever you want with that information. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But yeah, I hope you stick around, and yeah, GG's.